Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing another Christmas card using the Reindeer Friends from Pretty Pink Posh. Now I used this stem before and I was so in love with this cute reindeer that I decided to make another card. This time sort of a scene card, but again keeping it as simple as possible using only these 4 images and then a really simple background. I stamped these images onto Transotype perfect coloring paper, and I did that using Gina Design's Amalgam ink. Now I'm doing some Copic coloring today and it's really simple. I have my pink and my dark blue and then the colors of my reindeer. So limited amount of Copic markers again. That's just what I like doing. So if you're hanging around here for a while now, then maybe this color combination um, reminds you of a card that I made in the past. It was of a color challenge, and well, I just thought about this color combination when I started, and I'm glad that I'm reusing this color challenge again today. I used it in the past on an online coloring card with some Hello Bluebird stamps. If I don't forget when I'm uploading and fixing the YouTube description for you, then I will put the link towards that specific card in the description box just in case you like this color combination. I did something different with the background, and well, it's Hello Bluebird, so if you like that, so just for you, if you're interested and you didn't see it in the past, it was also an online coloring, so that can also may be interesting for you. So yeah, so I'm already on all of those packages. You can vary here, and I think doing a rainbow thingy or just keeping it simple with the Christmas standard red and greens would be lovely as well. But for today's color combination, it was going to be all of this darker blue with the pink, and then in the background I will try to get this pink there again. That was really funny because it failed miserably in the beginning, but you will see that. We will come to that point. So this is Transotype perfect coloring paper, and the images are quite small, so I could stop here. But just as I always say, I prefer having just 2 layers on this paper with my blend. I didn't go with the blue, you see, I just used the 2 lightest colors. I didn't went over it with the darkest again. You can do whatever you want, of course. If you're having trouble with bleeding, because that's something that I experienced in the past, definitely in the beginning when I started with Copic markers, it was a pain, and I didn't like it. I know that I started with it, and I recently told this to someone. That's why I recall it and wanted to share this with you as well. Before YouTube and all those things, when I really started, I had like a few Copic markers, and I know that I was super excited because of all those people on YouTube and Instagram that create the most amazing cards with it and can do some fabulous coloring. I know that I started and it didn't work out. The blend wasn't there. I hated it, and then I tried to add more layers, and then the bleeding started just at the point where I was satisfied with the blend. So I was like, I cannot do this, this is rubbish, and I threw my markers far away. And then I took a few months to grab those markers again and start again and trying again. So I don't know at which stage you are if you are coloring with your markers for a while, but if you're new to this and it wouldn't go as smoothly as you want it to, just remember it's hard on everyone in the beginning, and you will get better as soon as you take that marker and try again and again and again and getting used of those markers. And well, it's a process, and I also notice even on the videos that I shared on YouTube so far that my coloring really shifted, and I am coloring a completely different way with my Copic markers today than I did a year ago, a year and a half ago. And depending on what phase you are in, of course, there are those phases when you're creating cards, in my opinion. It can be with colors, it can be with the kind of coloring you're using, with the medium that you're using. Last year I made a lot of cards using distress inks, And this year I barely did 2 or 3. So phases again. Or I had 2 years ago, I think, I had these Christmas cards with all pastel colors and really soft and fluffy colors. And then last year I think I went for more muted tones, and you know, things change. And from time to time I look back, because there is a process that you did, and I sometimes think, what did I share? Oh my. But again, you will get better at things. If you don't like your blend, that will get better as well. But the paper is also so important. Okay, about the coloring, because that's done. I'm using the matching dies, love them, to cut everything out. As you saw, one of my reindeer is with the pink nose. Now, I know Rudolph normally has red nose, and don't ask me the other names because I cannot. I don't know them. Just Rudolph. But in this case, I didn't have any reds in my images with the coloring, so I decided to give him just a pink nose. Okay, so that's our secret. But that's actually Rudolph in my card. Going to do the background, and I thought of using Victorian Velvet and Aged Mahogany. Two distress inks that go so well together. Truly, I love the combination. But I thought that it would give me sort of the pink that I used on the packaging, because it's not a bright pink, but it's a more muted pink, and I think the same way about Victorian Velvet. Now that was not the case, and then I thought with the Aged Mahogany that it would help, but you will see once I did these hills that it just got worse. So I'm making 2 hills, just this bigger one, so that I have some grounding for the packaging and the reindeer with the package. And then I am also doing a second hill really softly. I am using a post-it note to help me to not have an overlap where my stencil is touching the first hill. That's something that I did previously in a card, and I thought it was genius, and it's nothing new, but for me it is. So did those hills, then I was going to do that blend downwards. Also, my blending was really rough. I don't know why. It just wasn't my day, I think. So wasn't really happy with the. It wasn't smooth. Also, these brushes are really cheap ones. They aren't even for crafting. They are makeup brushes. That was the first kind of brushes that I had for blending, and I did love them. But lately I also bought, well, lately, since I'm on the design team of Time for Tea Designs, I bought some of Time for Tea Designs blender brushes, and they are spectacular. It was the first brushes that I really bought from a crafty brand, and they are, wow, amazing. These ones, well, they are truly not for crafting, and since I use the other ones, I apparently cannot work with these. So, as you saw here, that red is totally the opposite of the pink that I was going for, and it was so ugly. So I decided to try with the Seedless Preserve. So at this point I was still going to get rid of this background. So ugly. But once I started on the transition between the Victorian Velvet and the Seedless Preserves, I kind of had the idea that I was getting there. I must admit, I really like the color that I got from adding the Seedless Preserves onto the Aged Mahogany. So I would definitely reuse this combination this way, you know. Having that Aged Mahogany again on the top, just darkening it. I'm going over with it with the Seedless Preserves. You see, it's not that purple, but it's not red either, and it's a really bright and dark at the same time color, and I love it. So here I'm trying to get that blend. I'm going more downwards because the blend between the Victorian Velvet and the Seedless Preserves was really that pink that I was looking for. So I needed it a bit lower to be closer to those packaging thingies. So here I was quite happy, but then I needed to figure out how to do just above the hills without ruining the stenciled hills that I have. So I just used that stencil again to prevent me going inwards in those hills, but keeping in mind that there where I'm going from the one hill towards the other one, at that point it was critical to pay extra attention to. So again, the post-it and just blending. I'm also using the same brush for these 3 colors. So here you can see that it's not exactly Victorian Velvet on the bottom, but it's really a combination of everything that was on my brush. Yeah. So this is going to be my background, and I'm just doing the layout, checking whether I like it. If needed, I could still add some ink. I still have my purple tape on top of it, so anything is possible, but I was happy with it. I also was going to heat emboss the sentiment, since I have this darker background. I'm going to white heat emboss it using some Reindeer Embossing Powder, super fine detail. And once I did that, I decided to just add some gouache. Now, first of all, heat embossing, I say it all the time, it's something that I don't do often. I'm trying to do it more, but I am terrified of heat embossing. I must admit that there are some amazing embossing powders and I love what everyone is creating, but I just can't get it right. It's like every time, again and again, I have so many excess embossing powder all around, and even when I prep it like a crazy person, I still have that. So I try to avoid it as much as possible just because of that, because I am too, well, I just want it to be perfect, and well, but today it went quite well, so I just need to be more confident about it, I think, and do it more often. But I'm going to do that. I did a card with these reindeers already, with some heat embossing, with the big joy word. That worked out fine. Here, what you see me doing is getting rid of the excess, and in those small places you can take a paintbrush if you want to, but I noticed that, well, a paintbrush, some of the hairs can be a bit weird, and so from time to time I'm just in my sentiment with it, and I just didn't want that. So if you take something pointy, or your craft knife, which is still missing here in my craft room, I lost it a while ago, don't know where it is. I searched for it, but I didn't find it. So just took my tweezers and did it with that. Then I decided to temporarily just stamp it out, the sentiment, and fussy cut sort of around. It doesn't need to be perfect, but I'm going to splatter some white gouache. And since the white heat embossing, I didn't want it to interfere with my sentiment. So I just have this Winsor & Newton designer gouache, permanent white. I love it. Again, if you have another gouache, that's perfectly fine. If you have the issue with your gouache that is getting, well, that is taking over the color underneath it, it's probably that you diluted it a bit too much. So I suggest always to just add a tiny bit of water first, and you can always add more, but just keep it as minimal as possible. Try to flick it. If it works, keep it like that. If it doesn't, add just the tip of your paintbrush of water again, until it's splashable. Is that a word? And then just go with that. The thicker your gouache stays, the wider it will stay as well. So now it's time to adhere everything. So as you can see, I'm sort of adding this in a triangular way. It's a layout that sort of always works. Well, I'm not putting my hand in the fire for that, but personally I find really a triangle, it's what you need. And I have 4 images, I know 3 is what I prefer, or 5 or anything like that, but just because I put those packaging together with the other reindeer, it sort of mimics one big image in my opinion. So I see this as 3 in a triangle with a sentiment in between. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So adding all the reindeer using some foam squares, and then I am going to take that card base, or, because I don't know the order, yeah, first the Studio Katia iridescent stars, which are almost all gone. My little jar is getting empty and I'm freaking out. No, but iridescent is the way to go in my opinion. It's a sequence that always goes. You have so many shapes, sizes and everything, and well, these stars just appeared to me like a good choice. So I just added a few, again triangle, 5 this time. And now I'm going to add this panel to my card base. I'm going to add some details as well, so therefore first adding it to the card base, and then I'm coming in with the details that I'm adding with glossy accents, with stardust. That's always a safe option. So I'm doing the noses, I'm doing those circles on the gift pack, and then I'm going to take some Stickles stardust and I'm just going to cover all the bows. And I first thought of not doing it completely, but then I came back and just did it completely, all the bows completely, and also the strings that are going around the packaging. Is it a string? I don't know, but you know what I mean. So adding some glitter. It has been a while, I think, so it's always lovely to add a bit of glitter. And that is my card for today. I truly love how this background ended up, although it was a bit fiddling and annoying. But this is my card and I really like it. I hope you do too, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, of course. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. I truly wish you all a fabulous day and I'll be back soon. Bye!